Hi, Mr. Hopkins. So the title of my game is Face or Back Off, and so it works like this. So both players start with 10 cards on the table, and each player places a card on the table. The idea is that I can put down a high value card and tell the other player that I won't change it. He to avoid the game over scenario, which is if both players have put cards that are above 10. So if I tell the other player to put down a card that's above 10, and I'm not backing off, he will have to he will have to back off, and putting me at an advantage. Um, so he will back off. If it's a bluff and the other person knows that I'm bluffing, he can also put on a high value card, resulting in possibly um, both people losing, or him winning, depending on if my threat was real. If my threat was really real, that I had put down a high value card, then we would result in a nuclear destruction. But if it wasn't true, then he would win. Um, right. So the game depends, much like in game of chicken. It depends on the ability to make correct threats. So if I threaten the other tractor driver that, look, I'm not gonna move out of the way, and I throw out the wheel and I pull off the brakes, uh, then yeah, I physically have bounded myself to going straight, so he will have to swerve. Of course, both players prefer if they both swerve, so that's kind of the best scenario for both of them. If they both swerve, which is if both players put a card below 5. So no one really wants to face off if they both put a card that's below 5, and they get to draw a card from the deck, which is mutually beneficial. If one faces off and the other swerves out of the way, the one who faces off wins, and his card needs to be 5 or higher compared to the other guy's card. Same thing over here. If I put down a card that's higher than 5 and the other person doesn't, then I win. This is the how much people like this scenario. So 1-1 is the worst scenario. This is better for player 1. That's better for player 2. This is equally beneficial. Um, so if both players is game over if both players go straight and straight, like if Soviet Union and the United States collided, it's game over, and the only way this happens is if both cards are above 10. Yeah. So if you really want to face off, you would put a card above 10, and the other guy put a card over 10. If he really wants to face off as well, then you would both lose. If one player puts a card above 10, and the other person, if one player puts a card above the other, then that player wins. Same thing over here. One player puts a card that's bigger than the other, and over here, if both player place a card below 5, then they both get to draw a card from the deck. So um, of course, both players prefer if they both swerve. However, they have a higher chance of winning the game by going straight, and that's what I expect to happen. Thus, much like a game of chicken, depends on the much like a game of chicken, face or back off depends on the mutual destruction of facing off, as well as the pride that keeps one of the people on the row, preventing them from swerving or backing down. So that's how it works. If you face off, you put 2 cards above 5. You can both swerve if you both put down a card below 5. You can go. You can face off if you put a card above 10. If you both people put a card below 10, you can back off if both people put a card below 5. If one has a higher card than the other, then that guy wins the first round. This goes on for 5 rounds, and the guy with the most amount of rounds wins. Who wins the most amount of rounds? Usually, what I see happening is that people try to cooperate, both people try to survive each other's way, so they can grab a card from the deck that's probably more beneficial. So they get rid of a 5. They get rid of 5 or lower card to possibly gain a much higher 6 jack 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 6, 7, 6, like a much higher card, and then they start facing off and making threats and everything. Yes, that's pretty much how the game works. It's really like a game of chicken. So at this point, um, I say, cool, I am risking nuclear Armageddon, and this is the third round of our first game. And I think I do this because the goal of the game is to make sure that you have the most amount of cards, not the most valued card at the end. So so that's what I tried to do. I stole his card. I put down a king, and I told him I wasn't backing off, and I wasn't changing it. Off, and I won that round. So after Alex backed off in the first round, this is the second round of our first game, and Alex does the exact thing that I did, and me not wanting both of us to lose, I caved and backed off. It was quite a tough decision to make, as I had to be rational about it. I could just say, well, if I'm gonna lose this, I might as well drag him down with me. It's pretty flawed because at least if I back off, I still have a chance at winning. If we both lose, I'm both in trouble. So, but it was honestly quite hard to choose between the two. Sometimes humans are rational, sometimes they're not. Sometimes we choose to drag everyone down with us. Sometimes we choose to help other people on the way. So for the last and final round, I started off by saying I put down a nuclear Armageddon card. I assumed that my opponent would back off, but since it's the last round, I wasn't too sure. So when I asked him what the card was, and I told him I was willing to back off if he had put down a powerful card, he didn't tell me, and this is the use of a bluff. He made me think that he had indeed put down a powerful card, and was willing to risk losing, just to make me lose too. So I switched out my powerful king card to a regular 3 card. In essence, I backed off, but he didn't really put down a powerful card, and he bluffed me and he fooled me into backing off, which is a really good tactic, but I think it was employed unintentionally here.